Welcome, guys, to Money Mondays, where we are focused on raising private capital and investing with purpose. So, whether you are a new investor or an experienced investor, understanding the art of raising private capital is crucial in today's competitive landscape. Join us as we navigate the complex realm of attracting investors, securing funding, and building meaningful relationships that fuel your business growth. Welcome, guys, to Money Mondays. I'm your host, Keleisha, and I have my co-host with me, Betzy, with her Christmas decoration full in effect. Is it like tis the season or tis the holiday?
Tis the season.
Tis the season. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Tis the season. How did I forget that? Tis the season, you guys. I think we have maybe one more episode left for the year, because I think the following Monday is just it's Christmas, and then the Monday after that is like New Year. So we're like, it's gonna be the last episode for the year, you guys. It's been fantastic.
I know it's amazing. Really excited.
Man.
This season right now it can be really hectic, especially
Mhm.
for those people who are doing business full time
Yeah.
and taking care of kids full time with the Christmas parties and everything. I
The
hope you guys
shopping.
you're thinking about you guys. Okay.
Listen. And then you have some person like, I need to fix my books before it reaches January 1st. And we're like, yeah.
We're juggling
Yeah.
everything. We're juggling everything over here.
But you guys still have time. You still have 2 to 3 weeks if you need to meet with your CPA, your tax strategist, and get some things set in stone. Do not wait until next year. Listen, I've learned some horrible lessons. Do not wait until next year to fix the issues that you have this year. And I think a few lenders as well, they're like, now I need to deploy my capital. I was like, look at the time. They're like, I need equity in deals. I was like, yeah, nothing.
I know. I've been seeing that trend too.
But this is where it's gonna come down to, as borrowers and as private money lenders, where your relationship and the persons that is gonna play a crucial part as well. It's also the perfect time to buy as well. So properties that have been on the market for a while, like, still make your offers based on what works for you, not because you really want to get a deal done, guys. Please.
That's such great advice.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right now, well, all the time. That's how it should be. Make
Listen.
offers that work for you.
Yeah,
Don't make them work.
just yeah, throw it in the air. Like, even if it's $20,000-$30,000 below asking,
Just do
do
it.
it. Yeah, I've done some this morning and last week, and some of these offers were like 20-30K less. And I'm like, I don't care. It's what works for me in the worst case scenario. So most you can tell me is no. And it's crazy. The wholesaler reached out. They're like, do you want to walk it? I'm like, whoa, you're actually accepting that low offer. So I'm like, bingo. So Joel is like, I learned some crazy lessons too this year. Man, it's been a year. I can't believe it's like almost over.
I know.
So Joe, you should definitely join us next week though, because we're gonna be doing a full recap of 2023. The good, the bad, lessons learned. So jump in. Make sure you tune in next week for that as well. But before I even introduce our guests, Betty, you want to hit them with that disclaimer?
Of course, the following information is for educational purposes only. Please do your own due diligence. We do not provide financial, legal, or professional advice. Keep that as a reminder, you guys. Everything that we say in this episode is from our experience, what our guests experience, and every case is different. Please go to the people that are the experts and have all the certifications and requirements, because every case is different, every state is different. You'll be finding some crazy
Yeah,
things out there. I know we talk about some whenever we come on them, and
it's insane.
it's
But
insane, really.
that's why you seek advice, guys, and that's why you talk to other people and hear how they're structuring things. which
Mm-hmm.
is why today, the guest that we're bringing on today, she's gonna be sharing. A lot of you are familiar with her, Julie Burkhardt, but she's gonna be sharing her experience being a private money lender, a real estate investor. It's always good to hear how other private money lenders are doing deals, how are they deciding what deals to lend on, lessons learned, because as entrepreneurs, as private money lenders, whatever your role is, you're going to be learning along the way. Every single situation, you're going to learn something new. You could have done 100 deals, and every deal, you're going to learn something different when you're like, man, I should have done this way. But listen, you live and you learn. So
Learn
it's
from other people's experience. Try to go through that though. Go.
listen, and then always, and that's the beauty of it. Like when we bring on these guests and they talk about their experience, or maybe they've mentioned something, and you're like, I don't remember this, or how did you really do this? You want to go in that, you can always reach out to our guests. Like we always make sure to share their contact,
Yeah.
the best way to reach out to them at the end of the episode. And you reach out and you have a chat with them just to get clarity for whatever it is that they mentioned too. So
Yeah.
without further ado, let's welcome Julie to Money Mondays.
Hi,
It's so
hey
fun to
everybody.
have you.
Oh, it's so good to see you both. Thank you so much for inviting me. It's fun to be with you. This is so cool.
Man, how does it feel to be on
You
the
guys
other
are
side?
amazing. Different, different, very different. But that's okay, you know. It's all good. It's all
It's
good.
good.
Thank you
I
so
Listen,
love
much
your
for here.
tree in the background, by the way, Betsy.
right?
Thank you.
I
My
love your
kids
tree.
decorated it. I can't take any
Oh,
credit.
nice. My tree is about this big.
It's funny, guys. Like Julie has been, I think, majority of the shows, Julie has always been here with us on
Yeah.
Mondays in the comments the entire time. If it's at least 30 minutes, Julie is here. And this it goes to show like no matter how many deals she has done, she's here learning, trying to hear what other persons are doing, how she can incorporate it in her business and her learning experience. So that's even like shout out Julie, for always supporting us and
Yeah.
always being here. So
Oh
this is
man. Oh yeah, you're so welcome. I try to get other people to come in too, just because I, you know, I certainly don't know everything, and I know other people are kind of out there struggling and trying to figure it out. And
yeah.
I know that by the questions that I get, oftentimes is people just, they need this information. So
Mhm.
thank you guys for putting it out there, because I mean, I always learn something. So
I
it's all
love
good.
it. So I know a lot of us are a lot of our viewers as well, they're part of the sub two community. But for those who are not a part of the sub two community, tell us like how did Julie get into real estate investing and then even becoming a private money lender?
Okay, well, I guess I, I I've been involved in real estate off and on for quite a few years. I wouldn't say that I would never have called myself a real estate investor.
Yes, sir.
I've just, bought and sold properties here and there. I never thought of it as a thing, like
Yeah.
I'm investing, this is what I'm doing. I've done private lending before, and I never really thought of that as a thing either, until I joined Sub 2. But about just oh gosh, about 2 years ago, I I needed something to do, and I've always been interested in real estate in various forms, and we've owned a bit of real estate. We've owned a fourplex, and we've owned some single family rentals, and I just didn't really enjoy being a landlord. So
Yeah.
we sold some things on seller finance. So I'm familiar with seller finance. But I didn't know Sub 2 was a thing, or Subject 2 for people who aren't part of our Sub 2 community. But that's basically taking over someone else's mortgage. But we don't need to go into that. but I thought, okay, I'm gonna really dive into this. I'm gonna do real estate, right? And then I found out that doing real estate is this whole big thing that is multifaceted, and that there's more than one way to make money in
Mhm.
real estate.
Yeah.
And as I kind of went through the Avatar series and different parts of my journey, my evolution over the last year and a half or so, I realized that I don't really want to own a bunch of real estate. And just because most people do,
Mhm.
that's not what I want to do. And
Yeah.
so I'm like, so I was kind of feeling some kind of way about that. Like, like, well, I'm supposed to want to do this, right? Um, I'm, I'm, I'm in real estate, right? So I should want to own all the things,
Yeah.
and be like Pace. But I really just, the private money lending was like, oh, you mean I can do this with other people, and I can partner with people, and I can be part of transactions, or I can earn a nice interest rate, a nice return for even fairly short term. I mean, the only lending I'd ever had really done up to that point was a more long term and amortized
Yeah.
loan to some good friends, and so yeah, it was just like this, the light bulb, several light bulb moments. I think I was kind of blinding people with all the light bulbs going off here. So, so I was like, wow.
Oh my. So even
So
with,
I kind of go ahead.
oh no, go ahead. You're good. Because I want to finish your
Oh,
that story before I ask you.
yeah. So I realized I could do this thing, and so I kind of dived into it without enough enough of the pieces, and
Mm.
I did some things that I shouldn't have done. Um, and I'm still out there trying to get some of my funds back. I think it will be okay, and we can talk about that a little bit too. But um, and as things have gone along, and fortunately,
Mm.
it wasn't like my last dime. I mean, I know of cases where people have loaned, and they're like, oh my gosh, that money's never coming back. That was my in-laws' money, or that was, somebody else's family member's money, or something like that. And it's scary. It's really scary, and it's not a good feeling to think that someone is not going to pay you back. It's
Yeah.
not a good feeling at all. But as I've learned, there are many ways to protect yourself, and you should do all of them. You should
Hmm.
you should protect yourself in all ways possible, um, and that's piece of advice I could give, is that nobody cares about your money more than you do.
Thanks.
And so, you know, definitely you have to know, like, and trust people that you're going to do business with, and that was a mistake number one. Heck, I did business with people I had never even met, and I was like, because I was working through a connector, and I was like, ooh, this is, I thought,
Solid.
oh, this is cool. No big deal. And then I'm kind of going, you know what? I don't have any way to get that money back.
Yeah.
How dumb am I?
Yeah.
So
And it's crazy that now you said like you would like think that I should have known, but I think it's a lot has to do with maybe you had to go through that stage to actually know, okay, I've experienced this before. So, and for the next deals, I know what I like and my non-negotiables. You're like, if you can't work with my non-negotiables, I'm not doing it. So that's really good. I mean, it's bad and it's good, but there's a lesson from it as well. Cause I'm sure like, like if I'm doing a deal, it's going to be this amount. This person has to match that criteria XYZ. But before even going into that deal too, like the first lending deal that you did, you said that you just went in before you know it was a thing. Tell us about that deal? Was it like a real estate? Was it for like a business? And how was that structured?
it was all real estate.
Mhm.
Um, And the first one was like, it was a small amount of money, but it was like, in retrospect, I mean, it was going to be fairly simple. So
Yeah.
it was $10,000 and it was going to be fairly simple. But I thought, oh yeah, no problem. It was the stupidest thing. I'm not even kidding. The deal fell apart and the person, I mean, I had no security, none. It was basically a personal loan.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually, that's kind of how I'm getting paid back. Like I will get my money back. I'll tell you what it was on. It was on a Airbnb arbitrage.
Mm.
Will I ever do that again?
No.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, what security did I have? None. I
Yeah.
had somebody's word that they were going to make all this money and pay me this and pay me that. That's all I
Mm-hmm.
had. It wasn't worth the paper it was written on.
Yeah.
And
So
fortunately, the
you
person
didn't
has at least the integrity that they had set up a payment plan with me to pay me back. I mean, get my
Mm.
money back in sometime before I die. But yeah.
So with that
So
too,
that
like
was the
was
first,
there
that was one.
so
And
there
this
was
was
nothing
this
in
all
writing?
yeah, there was, but it was basically it was a real simple promissory note, and the other mistake was uh, there was no title company involved.
Mm. Listen, this is why I want to go so deep into it, and the fact that you are okay just sharing it as well. This is we appreciate it a ton because now this is like real experience, not like, oh, this is what can happen, but the fact that I mean, I know some of it you're still going through it, but the fact for you to share it too. So that deal was $10,000 for an arbitrage deal. You just had a
Mhm.
promissory note. There was no title company involved or anything like that. Was it that you were the person who, like, when was it when you realized that, okay, I'm not getting, you're taking a longer time to give me my money back? And was it the borrower who said, I'll set up a payment plan, or was that you?
That was me. So this deal was supposed to be like, it was supposed to take a few weeks to get everything set up, and then I was going to be getting um, basically all of the profit until my initial investment was paid back, and then I was going to get whatever it was, 40% for um, until like the year was up.
Mm.
So the principal was going to be paid back fairly quickly, and then I would get the profit until the end of the year hold period, and then I would be out. And I would get a minimum amount of interest on that. So when that like couple months goes by and I'm checking in, and the borrower is like really not giving me much information, and then finally she admits, oh, well, this isn't really going to work out because um, the owner of the property um, changed her mind
Ooh,
or something. So I'm like,
ooh.
okay. So then I said, okay, well,
Had they
what
already
does your
used the fund?
oh, I'm sure they did. Yeah, I mean, they were doing this landscaping and this and that at this property, and
Goodness.
supposedly. So then I said, hey, you need to pay me back because doesn't look like it's a happening thing.
Mhm.
And she's like, well, I'm gonna. She kind of put me off for a while. Like, I'm trying to get this loan. I'm trying to get this personal loan, and I don't have enough. I don't have enough on my line of credit to get that much. And I'm like, hey, I'll take payments. I'll take. If you can only give me half of it up front, whatever, I'll take that. Well, I can't. Just lots of excuses. And then I said, look, you need to pay me back, and I'll take payments. So how much can you pay me a month? So it's going to take 30 months to get my 10 grand back, at $400 a month. So my interest payment is built in there, which is virtually nothing. So,
Mhm. Damn.
but I'm getting it back, so I am grateful for that. She does make her payments on time every month, so I'm very grateful for that. But dang it,
And that
Yeah.
should continue
it's
to
not
stay.
what I had planned.
I know there's cases where like they borrowers will not want to talk to you anymore
Mhm.
because they're feeling like they're in a place they're stuck and they just ghost.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
if it was
I,
for
I'm I've dealt with those too. I have
Mhm.
those. I have a couple of those.
I definitely want to dig
We could
into
talk
the
about those.
It's insane too. Like, I think I've experienced it not a little bit firsthand, when a borrower is late with payments, with the repayment portion of it. And I think there's just something, and this is an experienced investor. They always pay on time, but there's something that happens with the brain. It's just a complete switch where they can't think because they're so stressed out, and they just think avoiding, not even like intentionally avoiding, but not communicating is the best way to go. But honestly, it's not, guys. Like, that borrower, I had to be like, hey, like, I know it's not going right now, but at least let the lender know that this is what's happening. Like, just be honest. These are the things that's happening. We have pictures as proof.
yeah.
And when we shared it with the lender, he was like, oh, that's okay. Things happen out of your control. Like, who would have thought that your contractor would do that? And we just put things in place. So a lot of it is really just communicating with the person who's lending you. A lot of persons will understand
Yeah.
and just put things in place, because some things are out of your control as well.
Right.
But
Yeah.
even doing that arbitrage deal, Julie, were you like, I'm done with private lending, or I'm going to give this another shot?
Oh, and that kind of
Oh
goes to
no.
the question that we got to, which is
Yeah.
Oh,
you on
yeah.
giving up.
It's oh no. So there was like a cluster of these that happened all about the same time. So I did like 4 loans. One of them was out of our per. Let's see. Let me think. I think two of them were out of our personal funds, my husband's and mine, and the others were out of my self-directed IRA. 3 of them were out of our personal funds, and one of them was out of my self-directed IRA, and we can talk about that too. But they were
Mhm.
all kind of with the same, from the same person, a connector, and um, and then one of them was with that connector himself, and I actually didn't even want to do that lend, but here's the thing. He pressured me. He kind of begged me, he kind of played on this actually very, very new relationship that we had. I
Mhm.
mean, I really didn't know him very well, but I trusted him, uh, trusted without really verifying. And he's like, "Oh man, I really need this, if this would mean so much to me and my family and la 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 la, this thing that he was gonna this, and it was a real estate deal, it was a land deal, land development, and then the ghosting, when it fell through, and he was like, I think he was in the background, just kind of it, so this happened like in June or July, and the loan was due back to me in the 1st of December. So it was supposed to be really short term. Well, he ended up letting the money go hard, and it was just not just me. There were some other investors as well, and at that point we didn't know about each other. So we're like, okay, we're ready to be paid back now. Where's our money? And he's like, well, this or that. I mean, he just kind of gave us a song and dance, and then come to find out, he actually, he had let our money go hard, uh, and then he was, left holding the bag, and so were we. And then we found out about each other after a couple of months had gone by, and then the ghosting really got serious because we're like, we're beating on him, going, "What are you doing?" And finally, some other people had to get involved and say, "Hey, you need to communicate with these people. You need to figure out a plan for what you're going to do and how you're going to pay them back." And so we're finally at a place where we're getting regular updates. We're getting weekly updates because he has some other deals that he's trying to completed so that he can pay us back. But it's been a year. That one's been out there for a year.
Originally, was it supposed to be for a year, or what was the timeline for that?
It was supposed to be like 5 months. 5 months. Yeah, it was from, I think, July, August, September. Yeah, it was like July or 1st of August and to the 1st of December.
So with that
So,
deal, Julie, like because I know I've heard different stories with connectors, and I also want to touch on Iffy's comment because I know she said she has to go. But with the connector, did you have a conversation with the borrower as well? Like, was there like a three-way conversation, or was it the connector like, "Hey, I have this deal," and you didn't get to talk to the borrower at all?
so this particular deal was with the connector.
Got
So
it.
the first one I talked about was through that connector.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was another one also that was through that same connector. That one took that one took 5 months to get back. Um, it was 5 months late. It was also another supposed to be short term, 5 months or something. So that took an additional 5 months. I did get that one back. But I also found out that that borrower borrowed from someone else to pay me back. So it was really kind of so someone else is on the hook now,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
With
So,
those two, did you have the paperwork in place?
yes,
That's
yeah.
good.
And what paperwork did you have?
Okay, so the one where I actually have gotten my money back, it was a fix and flip, and I was in second position on that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I found out that the borrower wasn't even doing anything with the property, and I mean, and I found that out, roundabout through, because it's good to have connections, right? But I found that out, and then I was like, you got to be kidding me. And so, I mean, I was just like pounding on that person. I'm like, you better, and they finally did. So, yeah, and so the paperwork with the connector person was not so great either. I basically didn't have much security
Yeah.
in that deal. So
And
I did lots of things wrong, guys. I did lots of things wrong.
for those who might be
Let me
wondering
say,
what a connector is, so a connector, if you're not in sub to a connector, is basically like a broker. So you know someone who has capital, and you also know someone who has a deal. So you tap into your network and you make that connection with the person. And it's crazy where I had this conversation with Lance Riggin too, and we're having a deep convo about it because a lot of time as connectors, which brings me to Effie's point, that connectors have a responsibility, she said, to ensure that deals are vetted 1,000%. And if the deals falls through, I think the connector should refund the connector fee to the lender. That is even correct, which even with that too, I think connectors shouldn't just be like, hey, here's a lender, here's a borrower, that's it. No. I think connectors should see the deal through the closing table, the finish line, and then even after that, follow up. Because at the end of the day, it's your credibility, it's your reputation on the line. Make sure that the lender that you connected to the borrower is actually performing because you made that connection. And also as well, like the whole connector fee too. It's funny, we used to do that, but it's usually at closing. So
okay,
everything is
yeah,
done at closing, any payment or anything. Yeah. And again, everything for us, it went through a title company. You send an invoice to the title company, and they're the one that doing the payout But a lot of times the connectors that I'm seeing, they're just disconnect. They're like, hey, here you go. Bye. Y'all figure it out. And I don't think that should be the case.
Yeah, I agree to a point. In some ways, though, that puts a lot of responsibility on the connector, when really they may just be going, "Hey, I know somebody who has this and someone who needs that." I don't know. I have to think about that one,
I think
yeah,
also we've talked about this too, Kalisha, where we're like, it depends, because if we know this person and we're friends with them and we've done deals with them before, then that case can be a little bit different about how we manage that situation. But yeah, usually especially when it's somebody that it's like we're doing something for the first time together, or but they have really good references, but we just want to make sure everything goes and we have a paper trail. This is better that we
well, one thing I want to point out too is that a lot of this was done, well over a year ago, a year and a half ago, and it was before there were some of the resources that are available to us now. I mean, I know about promissory notes and that kind of thing, but to the really deeper stuff was not something that I really had access to. Yeah, you have the kind of the blank documents and so forth, and promissory notes are the easy part, I think. It's the more deep details. Yes, exactly. That is the important part, and that's what a lot of people skip over. Oh gosh, lien position is huge, and making sure that you're secure against something that you have recourse against. That is so huge. And I mean, it's really about far more than just, oh, I know this person and I think they're pretty awesome and I'm just gonna give them my money. So,
and it's crazy too that and some investors are gonna hate me for this, but but it's something that I've seen and I get it, because if it was my money, I want to run it through title unless we have a solid relationship. We've done everything. And another thing that I want to do is, if you're telling me that I'm going to be in second or third lien, I don't want to take your word for it. I want to get a lender's insurance policy, because at the end of the day, again, I want to protect my money. And that's just me. Like, if it's my money, I want to ensure that there's a security, like as Julie said, like the promissory note, that's just a paper, but the real security is your deed of trust. And to really know, because someone can tell you that, oh, lend me $50,000, you're gonna be in second lien, only to find out when something pops up that you weren't actually in second lien, but you were in third or fourth lien. Because I've heard there are stories before, and it's tough. So I think lenders now are not looking on just a promissory note, but the deed of trust. And I want a lender's risk insurance policy. Okay, do you have anything that you can cross collateralize? Now it's not having two paperwork. It's what things are in place for me to get my money back. Like, I need all those different things in place. Okay, if you're late, you're allowed 2 to 3 month loan extension. That's it. After that, I'm taking ownership of the property. Like, have those tough conversations, put it in writing. It pushes both the borrower to perform and to communicate if something goes wrong. And then both the lender and the borrower can decide, okay, when the worst comes to worst, how are we going to navigate this situation?
absolutely.
No.
Yeah, being in third lien position is not very comforting at all, because that just means that there's two people ahead of you, and if there's not enough pie to go around, you're not even going to get the crumbs.
Yeah. Facts.
This is where due diligence comes in, right? So when we talk about doing your due diligence and crossing all your T's and dotting on all your I's, this is like where you're like become a investigator and you start making sure you are able to protect your funds, because like
Mhm.
Julie said, no one cares about your money more than you do.
More than you do. Yeah. So with all those experiences that you're going through, Julie, what are some things right now where you're like, these are my non-negotiables? If you don't meet that, I'm not even considering lending to you.
Well, for one thing, and I tell a lot of the new people this all the time, is you have to build the relationships.
Mhm.
You have to at least have some kind of rapport with this person that is asking you for money or that you're considering lending to. You have to know something about that person. The whole thing, you've heard it many times, know, like, and trust. Um, that still only goes so far. It's know, like, trust, and CYA. But I would say for borrowers, you need to give somebody time. Like you
Mhm.
need to have your lenders sort of, you have to show them that you know what you're doing.
Mhm.
And for on the lender side, don't just do business with somebody without knowing what other deals have they done. Are they brand new? Is this their first time
Mhm.
borrowing money? Personally, I wouldn't do that. I would say my advice to you is to go work with somebody who is doing deals, and
Yeah.
and have them make sure that give them a piece of the pie to help you make sure that this is all going the way it should.
Yeah.
Um, that's a big one. It's just that relationship is so important. I can't tell you how many times, sometimes almost every day, that I get people just randomly sending me a deal, and I need $50,000. And I'm like, that's nice. Who the heck are you? I don't have any idea who you are.
Yeah.
And I
So
think there's this misconception that, just that within, especially within the community, that there's this group of people as lenders, and these people are doing this, and these people are doing that, and that all you have to do is, go down the list and pick one, and they're just going to hand over the cash. I mean, I
Mhm.
really think that some people think it's that simple.
Yeah. Yeah. It is. It's
And there's
and
probably some lenders that think it's that simple too.
yeah.
But um, so for a borrower, I would say, make sure you have your templates, make sure
Mhm.
you have your paperwork ready, at least the basic stuff
Yeah.
that you can tell a lender, okay, this is the interest rate that I'm thinking of. This is what I can offer you, and be willing to be flexible
Mhm.
on that. Not everybody's going to have the same lending box,
Yeah.
just like not everybody has the same buy box. Um, um, yeah, definitely find out their experience level both ways. Have you
Mhm.
have you done much lending? Have you
Oh,
have you
yeah,
done?
yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
That's a good point.
yeah,
That's a really good point that you just mentioned. Because to find out from the lender if they have lent on deals before, because simply asking that question, you get an idea what type of deals they like
yeah,
just by asking that question. Because not because they're a lender, it means they're a good fit for your deal as well.
right. Yeah, very true. Very true. I mean, uh, if people want kind of a nice cookie cutter answer to that. They want you to say, I lend on this, this is my interest rate, this is,
Yeah.
mhm,
Yeah.
this is how long, blah, blah, blah. And it's never that simple, at least for me. And I'm pretty sure that a lot of other lenders they might have their basic buy box, like they
Yeah.
won't lend on fix and flips, for example, or
Mhm.
they um, uh, they will only do less
Certain
than 12
states.
months
Yeah.
or things like that, or they only red states, yeah, or only multifamily or only single family, those kind of things. There's some things that people will that maybe have their own little basic
Criteria.
criteria, but beyond that, sometimes it's flexible.
Hmm.
I mean, I feel like for on the lender side, don't don't be unreasonable with I got a fly that's like driving me crazy. um, Don't be unreasonable with your interest rates. You know, kind of have a feel for what the going rate is for hard money, and then kind of make your adjustments accordingly.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's appropriate to ask for a bigger interest rate,
Hmm.
and sometimes it's better to just compromise a little bit.
Yeah.
So that part is very individual as well. You know, if you're set at like my rate is 18% and I'm not coming off of that, well, okay, you can do that. That's your prerogative. But it's better if the person says, you know, I really can only do 12, and you say, how about 15? And
Mm.
they'll go, I probably can do that. You
Yeah.
know, and you know, it's a little bit of give and take,
Hmm.
because I think there's that tendency, of course, maybe it's human nature to just say, you know, I'm gonna, you know, I want this and I'm gonna get this chunk of the deal. And, you know, I think we hear that all the time. And so I think there's kind of this expectation that
Yeah.
this is what I have to do, you know, I have to
Yeah.
get the biggest chunk that I can get.
And because I think because of that as well, a lot of persons when they need just because they need the capital, they're like, oh, if I need this ASAP, I need to say I'm offering 20%,
Yeah.
25%. But when you look in the deal can't even afford to do 20, 25%.
Right, right. And I think that's another thing too with deals, and it's something that I need to get better at is underwriting.
Mm-hmm.
But at least have somebody in your back pocket that you can go to if you're considering a deal that you think might be good and it makes sense to you how it's been presented. Have it have someone else put eyes on it and say, you know, maybe they'll come up with something you didn't think of, or that the borrower didn't think to stick
Yeah.
in there. So I mean, always have that in your back pocket.
Yeah, especially
Somebody
when
to
it's
look.
a fix and flip project. There's a lot of costs, like standard costs that persons forget. Because I still see it to this day where persons will think, okay, the purchase price is 100, the rehab is 20, I can sell it for 200, and whatever the difference is the profit. No, it's not. You have your cost to buy the home, you have the cost to sell the home. Days on market, you got a budget for that. You have your holding cost. Not saying it's gonna be this like exact amount, but include that. Hey, these are just the estimate from my holding costs, my miscellaneous or reserves, all that stuff, and then break those down, and then that's what you get from your profit. And then if it goes over, yeah, if it goes over a little bit, then yeah, it's not that bad, but at least you prepared for it. And
Yeah,
then when you
especially
present that with lenders too.
for flicks and flips, there's so many things that can go wrong, right?
Yeah.
There's so many things, so many anomalies that come up. So
Mhm.
it's very important to
Right. And factor in, besides all that, the shift in the market like that's
Yeah.
happened recently.
yes,
You know, that may change with if rates come down here shortly, people might
Mhm.
start jumping back in, the traditional buyers or whatever. But yeah, I mean,
it's true.
that really has bit a lot of people because they're like
Yeah.
their buyers just went,
Yeah.
where'd they go?
But
Come back.
it's really knowing. So we covered your non-negotiables. We cover what do you think is the biggest lesson that you've learned when it comes on to being a lender?
Oh boy, on the lender side, I would say one of the things for sure is don't get in a big hurry. If someone says, I need this money tomorrow, say,
No.
oh, I'm
Mhm.
not your person.
Yeah.
I'm not your person. You'll need to find somebody else, because that should be red flag. You know, that means that person didn't do their homework, or they don't have maybe the deal isn't even that good because maybe they had another lender and that person said, nah, you know, so now they're scrambling at the last minute trying to get
Mhm.
it funded. So I say never be in a hurry, and that's advice on both sides.
Yeah.
If you're trying to borrow, give somebody all the time that you
Mhm.
possibly can, because you know they need to do their due diligence and they
Right.
need to ask the questions. and
Yeah.
everything. So
Now,
to me, that's huge.
now, Julie, we've talked about like all of your lessons learned. I wanted to ask you if there's any case where you've asked for something a little bit more creative, or a deal that you've done or you've lent on that's been a little bit more creative, or maybe even funny.
Hmm. Not sure. I'm not sure about that one.
That one.
I know it's like
There's an interesting one right now that I'm still working through, and this is another one of those, you know, dummy me kind of things, but live and learn. But it was a partnership that I loaned to, and they're one of the partners actually took the money and did whatever with it. And the other two partners were like, "Oh, you can't do that. That's against our agreement." And they ended up splitting up their partnership over it. And the upshot is two of the three actually did pay me, and the third person basically, actually, they were only one of the three was going to pay me, and that's a whole other story. But
Ooh.
two of the three paid me, and the third one is now like 3 months late, and it may be another 3 months, but he swears he's going to pay me. But his reaction when I first said, "Hey, your loan is due," he's like, "Oh, well, that LLC doesn't exist anymore." I'm like, "Okay."
What?
He was basically like, "Oh, too bad for you." I mean, that was literally the reaction. He's like, "Well, that group, we dissolved that LLC," and I'm going, first of all, nice of you to tell me when it actually happened, which nobody did, and that leads to the ABC, always be communicating.
Ooh.
But then basically, but he got told by some other people, "You better do it." You better figure it out.
was it on a
So
real estate deal, like on a?
yeah, oh yeah. It was a fix and flip, and it was all legit and the paperwork thing. But what I failed to pick up on was the third lien position, for one thing. And then, I mean,
Ooh.
and let me say, these were very high profile and trustworthy people in the community. So, yeah.
Can't trust
So
anyone.
ask me if I'm making any money. This doesn't sound like I'm making it.
Listen, it's also
I'm just out there losing money left and right.
but it's a reminder too for borrowers, like, how do I put this? Not because you see someone doing a ton of deals, sometimes stay in your lane and go slow. If you need to go slow, and just do the right thing and be transparent. If you have your systems when it comes on to lending, not because you desperately need that money or you want to get a deal done, makes you break that system. Because I think a lot of person, than what you just mentioned, Jules, is that they desperately need the funds and they're not transparent, and then they just go down in a rabbit hole,
Hmm.
and it
Hmm.
gets so bad, and they sit down and be like, how did I end up here? And that's because you
And
just
then
desperate
then
for
they
the
don't
fund.
communicate. Then they don't communicate. And that, I think for, like I said, ABC, always be communicating. Um, your lender wants to hear from you,
Mhm.
regardless if something has gone wrong or if everything's going great. Your lender wants to hear from you.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean you have to call them every day or text them every day or anything like that, but periodic updates are always welcome. Like, "Hey, things are going along well on this deal. Um, um, we're on track," whatever the case is. And, don't just make something up either. Just say, "Oh, if we have a setback," I'm like, "Oh my gosh, my contractor got in a car wreck and he can't get on the job for, I got to go find another whatever the case is, let somebody know that. And
Yeah.
because people will be more understanding. And, there's some people that are like, good, you're going to be paying me late fees. Or
Mm-hmm.
someone might say, you know what, I'm going to give you a month grace or something. I mean, people are generally pretty good about it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't communicate, then people get mad
Yeah.
and people get upset because they think, you've absconded with their money and they don't like that.
Yeah.
So for me, one thing that I've had to do is just kind of let it go because I could be mad and I could be upset and I could be worried and doesn't get me anywhere. It
Mm-hmm.
just gets me upset. And so I've had to sort of let it go and forgive. And that doesn't mean that I don't still want my money back,
Like,
but it's just allowed me like, you know, sub
yeah.
two mafia. I don't know. I'm just like,
I love it.
maybe not a thing yet, but it could be. Just kidding. But really, I've had to just say, just take a breath. This is not going the way I want it to go. And I've learned a ton of lessons, but I will get this back. The universe is going to reward me for this somehow.
Mhm.
And, you know, it's going to be okay. And if
So
it's
I,
not
Man,
okay, I didn't die. So,
yeah, I love that.
I love it too. And I think it speaks to all borrowers out there, all us, all borrowers that be the difference. Actually
Mm-hmm.
communicate. You'll learn that people have way more grace and
Yeah.
they're just people, and they know real estate is an investment. It
Yeah.
has risks, and not everything goes according to plan. So
Mm-hmm.
just communicate and
absolutely.
yeah, in the spirit of Christmas, right?
And, and,
Well,
and
I would really like the great Christmas present to be
I'm getting
the
her money
paying
back.
back of at least one of my loans. That would be all I want, Santa. Could you make that happen?
Man, like this too is like, it's when you hear these stories, you have to understand where a lot of new lenders are also scared
True.
of lending. They want their persons like Julia be like, I don't want to buy real estate. I don't want to be a landlord. I don't want to do anything. I rather do this lending biz. But then when you hear these stories, it's not for you guys to get scared, but to hear the things that she went through, the mistakes that she made, and now she has built a stronger criteria. So you're gonna make a mistake as a private money lender. You're not gonna be 100% ready. You just have to make sure you have
Take
the right paperwork in place. You do your due diligence with the borrower. That means vet the borrower. Have you done a deal before? Okay, have you borrowed money before? All right, can I get a reference? I want to talk to that lender to see what your experience is. Do you have any property that I can cross collateralize so I make sure I get my money back? What title company are you using? You just do those small things, and then throughout the process, more things is gonna pop up, and that's where you ask those questions and you seek clarification. Like, no question is too dumb. At the end of the day, it is your money.
Yeah, and you just remember
I was just,
always
I'm
contact
sorry.
also that they can always contact us. I
Mhm.
know, Julie, they can send you a message and ask you questions. I know you're open to it. We
Absolutely.
are
I,
too. We always are.
yeah. Make sure you guys hit the like down here and subscribe. You guys
Listen,
are awesome.
Julie is getting it.
really. See, this is good because like a lot of times we forget about those things because we're so in tune with the conversation,
Yeah.
with everything. But oh, thank you. This has been good. Like the fact that you're here and you're sharing it. I think someone said it, Katie said it too before, that just having these tough conversation, and persons always talk about the good thing, and I'm making all this money. I'm not a fan of the wins, this because I see wins all the time. I'm a fan of what were the challenges and how did you overcome those.
Yeah.
That is the
Yeah,
main thing.
absolutely.
because then you're not painting this picture, you're not adding to it where it's like real estate is this magnificent thing. Yes, it is in the future, but you have a lot of hiccups, and it's a high risk type of thing. But if
Right,
you don't have the
right.
stomach
And
for
I was just sitting here, you were kind of checking off these things, and I thought, you know what? A little checklist like that would be awesome. Just like all those things. And when you're talking to somebody and they tell you this, okay, I got that piece of
Criteria.
information.
yeah.
Okay, just or just make a little sheet with
Mhm.
blanks. The title company is, and then you can jot it down while you're chatting with the person. So that's really, I might have
All
to
the
And
info.
have to work
I
on
think
that.
that's part of our process too. Like that's what we
Mhm.
ask for, so we can do our due diligence.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're always adding to that list, always changing. Your every experience makes a
Mhm.
change,
Yeah.
a new learning opportunity.
And have those tough
Absolutely.
conversations. Like
Having this,
persons always talk about, oh, I wanna invest in this and it's gonna get 15% return. I don't even start with that conversation. It's like, one, have you ever lent before? If you said no, I'm like, okay, if you lend this $20,000 or $30,000 and you don't get it back, are you able to pay your bills? If you ever tell me no, that you won't be able to pay your bills, I'm like, don't do lending.
yeah,
Like, don't do it
Right.
because
Yeah.
you're gonna freak out. You're gonna be on top of the bar every day. Hey, how's it going? I need my money back. Da da da. Like, if it's your last, don't do it.
yeah. Even
Mm-mm.
people
I
with like
agree.
personal, they're lending from their personal credit lines.
Mhm.
We always have to make sure that their interest, they're going to be making those monthly payments.
Yeah.
They have enough to be making those monthly payments, because some people are just doing it to better their credit.
Oh gosh.
People
Yeah,
actually
for sure.
profit on top of that, and you always have to make sure that they're still going to be okay on
Mhm.
both sides.
I have to laugh to tell you this little thing. Like I said, I get these DMs all the time. Hey, I've got this deal. And I'm going, I don't even know who you are, but this one guy is like, he wanted to borrow, like 30,000, and he's telling me he's going to pay me like $750 a month. And I'm like, your math is kind of screwed up. Well, it was amortized. I'm like, oh, so you're going to pay me back with my own money. That's what you're telling me. That's not my return, dude. You're that's that's the interest and the principal. So who do you think you're talking to?
Oh my
Made
God.
it sound like he was going to give me $750. I'm like, your math doesn't add up. So then I ran it through my little, my amortization calculator, and I'm like,
Your math ain't mathing. Your
no,
math
sorry,
ain't
that doesn't work for me.
man. And
Funny stuff.
so, Julie, I know because we've had conversation before. Have you paused on lending? Or you still considering doing it in the future? Like, what's your status on that right now?
I am still lending.
Mhm.
I have a one person that I've been working with um, in Idaho near where I live, and he is sub two, and he's doing fix and flips. So that's one of the few markets that I would do fix and flips in right now, just because of how things have shifted. But
Okay.
there's still pretty good demand there. Um, but as soon as this flip that I've loaned on, as soon as that one is back to
Mhm.
me, I've loaned on that one out of my self-directed IRA. I'm pulling my funds back from that, and um, he's one that I've lent to without all the paperwork. And I told him, when that comes back, we're not doing that anymore.
Okay,
You're
well,
going to do all the paperwork, and we're going to do
mhm.
this right, or
Yeah.
I'm going to find someone else to do deals with.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
like the guy. I like him a lot. He's really done some amazing things in his personal life, and I trust him,
Mhm.
but I don't feel like a personal guarantee is the
Not
be
enough.
all end all.
Yeah.
And
Not enough.
that's so I've told him, we're not doing this anymore. Well, I still love to work with you, but we got to have all the paperwork in the
Was
future.
he
See?
okay with that? Did he have a good response?
Yeah, he's like, he has other people that lend to him, so we'll see how that actually goes, because that's going to be the case is.
Yeah. So now you're non-negotiable.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Oh, you should title that your checklist, your non-negotiables.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the
Non-negotiable checklist.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it.
No, Julie, it was such a pleasure having you on Money Mondays, just really sharing your experience, this tough experience, all the lessons learned within the past 2 years, and being vulnerable and breaking it down. Like it means a lot to be here. And I think a lot of our listeners and will value this type of conversation, and even new private money lenders, or if they're thinking about it, will value this type of conversation and everything that you had to have to share with us today. For those who are listening or watching, which platform is the best platform to reach out to you on?
Probably Facebook. You can message me. I'm trying to be better about checking those messages, especially if it's somebody that I don't currently have a connection with. But you can also DM me on Instagram. I check that fairly frequently. I'm trying to get better on my socials and all that, but
And that's good.
I'm working
And
on it.
Julie's very active on Facebook, you guys. Like, she will respond to you. But do not message her and be like, hey, I have a deal. I need $30,000. No.
Yes, I
Sometimes I don't even answer those because I'm like,
I don't. I stopped answering those a while ago.
Yeah.
But yeah,
you
you
know,
guys.
a lot of times what I'll do is say, yeah, exactly. So a lot of times what I'll do is say, hey, are you in sub 2? And if you are, please go in the vault and watch this, and this. Because we'll tell you pretty much everything you need to know. That the interview with Pace and Jill Jensen is gold.
Oh, that was
And I wish that it had been available to me when, I mean, this was like what, January of this year that came out. So these loans were 6 or 8 months before that ever happened. So yeah, there were some resources that I probably didn't take advantage of even back then, but there's a lot more now that's available to people. So take advantage of that. It's amazing information that's in there in the vault. So in there.
And for everyone, it's free. All our content is free on YouTube, so you guys can watch it there. We have an episode where we talk about how to ask for funds and doing your due diligence, what we look for. So
yeah, absolutely.
No excuse.
None. But it was a pleasure, Julie. Betzy, you want to take us out? This was so good, man.
I wanted to thank Julie. Just you guys, Julie's amazing. Please, go like her content. Go over there, and she's trying to make more content right now on her social.
I'm working on it.
So go like it. Go give her some motivation, because I know it's important. It's important in this day and age.
Anybody that can help the old school people, reach out to me, because I'm just trying to figure this stuff out.
Figure it out.
I get that.
You guys are amazing. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for the opportunity to chat about this, and I hope some people got some good out of it. So
no, thank you for being open to talk about it, and going through all the details. I know sometimes it's hard to talk about all the L's that we take, but it's very, very important. So thank you so much, and thank you to our viewers for being here, commenting, being active in the chat. You guys were amazing today. We were reading all of them. I was like, oh, really quickly. Oh my gosh, make sure I don't miss any questions, because those are really important as well. That's why we do these lives, so that you guys are able to communicate with us and ask questions if anything pops in your mind. But there's always the comment section too, so you guys can feel free to go there and ask questions. We appreciate you guys so much. And whether you're looking to finance your next project, launch or expand a new business, we hope that this episode gave you insights, tips, golden nuggets, strategies, so that you guys can raise capital and invest with purpose. See you guys next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Thank you.